Hi, my name is Steve Lyon. I'm the professor of anthropology at Aga Khan University's Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilizations. I'm going to do something a little bit odd today. Instead of presenting a paper, which I would do if I were in Norfolk, or which I would do if I were doing one of the live streaming events, I'm going to take advantage of the fact this is a pre-recorded video that we can make available for a longer period of time. I've asked each of my co-authors, there's 4 co-authors on this paper, I've asked each of them to record about a minute's video or audio to talk a little bit about their contribution to the project. I'm going to start by saying this is really a continuation of work that I had been doing in other parts of Punjab, but it's very different. Anyone who might have seen me give a talk at previous Society for Applied Anthropology conferences or American Anthropological Association conferences or elsewhere, somewhere in Europe perhaps, might know that I have been concerned with the water crisis in Pakistan for some time. But my concern up to now has been the absence of water, the drought. It's been the depletion of the water table because I've been working in rain-fed areas in Punjab. But this project works in an area where there isn't a shortage of water. The problem is clean water. So we're working in Gilgit-Baltistan in northern Pakistan, where there is very good water. There's a very good supply of water through the glacier and the rainfall and all of that. There's no shortage of water, but getting clean drinking water that's safe for people is a big hassle. It's a big obstacle, a big challenge. Getting wastewater out safely is an equally large challenge. So this project really looks at the clean water delivery side of that challenge. The project lead, Jeff Tan, is going to talk just a little bit about the aims of the project, but we're working very closely with our partners in the Aga Khan Agency for Habitat and our co-researcher partners in Karakoram International University. So now I'm going to let Jeff take over and just tell us a little bit about the project.
My name is Jeff Tan. I'm a political economist and principal investigator for this project. The aim of the project is to assess whether the water and sanitation extension program can be scaled up from villages of around 300 households to urban centers with significantly larger and also much more diverse populations. This is to help the Aga Khan Agency for Habitat determine the types of changes that might be needed to transfer this model of community-based water management to towns and cities. Specifically, we look at 2 large urban schemes in Gilgit City, one with almost 10,000 households when completed. Before we intervene, we need to understand what has worked and what hasn't, in terms of community participation, optimum scale, and engineering solutions in both existing rural and urban schemes and in the 2 project sites in Gilgit City.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Now, I'm going to let Matt Birkinshaw, one of our postdoctoral fellows, tell you a little bit more about the data design and data analysis.
My name's Matt Birkinshaw. I'm a postdoc on the project, and I've been quite involved in survey design and data analysis. So we're using survey data to understand water projects and participant households in GB. Survey data allows us to quantify and test relationships between things like demographics, behaviours and attitudes. These may be relationships that we know or suspect from qualitative research, but we can identify others. We can't survey all of GB, so we want to make inferences about the larger population based on a sample. We constructed a sample grouped into strata, so first divided into urban and rural projects, and then by districts. Because most urban projects are in Gilgit City, the urban sample was stratified again by migration history and religious affiliation. Finally, we sampled projects and households randomly. So this is an interdisciplinary project. For example, water systems with more pipe in the ground and more valves are more likely to need repairs. So understanding project sustainability requires engineering as well as social and financial data. Integrating the different skill sets, conceptual frameworks and methodologies that this type of research requires is a necessary but rewarding way to tackle complex real-world questions.
Thanks, Matt. Now we're going to move to Anna. I think I mentioned that Anna is the one who has the longest period of experience and history in the region. Matt has worked in India, Jeff's worked in Malaysia, I've worked in Punjab. But Anna did her doctoral research here in Gilgit-Baltistan. She's the one who's been really our guide on the ground for many of the local sensitivities. So Anna, I'm going to let her introduce herself now.
Hello, my name is Anna Griese and I'm working as a postdoctoral fellow on this project. Having studied anthropology and having done my doctoral research on the waterscape of Gilgit, I bring to the project both topical knowledge about water management and practical experience of living and researching in Gilgit-Baltistan.
Now, one of the things that Anna has been really crucial in is managing the field researchers on the ground. So you see there's a picture there on the right. That's the enumerators, the people who actually did the surveys for us, conducted the survey, and produced the data. So Jeff, Anna, and I were out in Pakistan last year. We went on a workshop. We trained them in some generic data production methods, but also very specifically in what we needed on this project. But Anna was there throughout all of this period, helping them, training them, and managing them along with our partners in Karakoram International University to make sure that the data was produced in a consistent and timely manner. So now I'm going to let her talk about the importance of being on the ground for applied research.
From my previous research, I also know about the importance of being on the ground for applied social science research, because knowledge, information, data here are hardly ever documented or archived, and it is thus often very difficult to get information other than in person. This we have again learned from the attempt to switch for the household survey from door to door to a telephone survey, and we saw that it is very difficult, for instance, to get contact numbers and then also to reach people, because mobile phones are very common, but the networks are not covering all places. And the same goes for internet connectivity, which is again dependent on the mobile services. So therefore, face-to-face contact here is really the way to communicate with people.
It was a major, I think everyone on the planet has noticed the global pandemic. They've all noticed COVID-19. Well, that affected our research rather profoundly. So we had always planned to do face-to-face surveying, but at the height of the COVID crisis in Pakistan, we really couldn't risk our enumerators. We really couldn't risk the region. So we moved to phone surveying. But as Anna said, that was a real problem. So it was a mixture of both. And you'll see that even when we did the face-to-face stuff, we tried to do it outside with good ventilation. But those pictures on the left show you what working outside in the mountains can be like. So Anna now is going to tell you a little bit about the community-based water management schemes that exist in the area.
What is important in regard to water management in Gilgit-Baltistan is that throughout the region it has always been community built and community managed. The area is a high mountain desert, and in order to develop settlements and agriculture, it is necessary to construct a network of channels and waterways, which is of course a very difficult undertaking and usually has been done on the basis of people self-organizing. But this is why WASIP's approach of relying on the community to do the work is not new, because it takes up previous practices of community-based infrastructure production and management.
And finally, Anna is going to tell you a little bit more about the challenges of working with his local infrastructure.
State-led or public physical infrastructure development in the area were introduced only from the 1970s onwards, first building a road network and then step-by-step also piped networks for drinking water. But these usually face problems in operation and maintenance and often supply water that has already been contaminated or is being contaminated in the distribution process.
Thank you, Anna. So basically, our remit is to try and understand what worked in these rural area community-based water management schemes. And of those things that worked, what might be applicable to an urban area, a place without the homogeneity of a village or a small community, a place with more sects, with more households, with possibly more friction, possibly more just anonymization. People don't know each other. People won't necessarily be prepared to work closely with their neighbors in the way they might in a village. Now, that's not a given. It may be that some of the things that make it make it difficult to do this in a small town, in a village, might not be present in a city. There might be some advantages to scaling this up. So what we need to do is pay close attention to what worked in those schemes that were very successful, and defining what is successful is in itself a rather big challenge, because is it successful if people pay their money, or is it successful if people have fewer days off from work because they aren't ill, or is it successful because you have a higher volume of clean drinking water delivered direct to people's homes? All of those measures might be considered part of the success metrics for our schemes. So we need to pay attention to all of that. We then need to juxtapose that against the demographics, against the characteristics of each of these communities, and figure out what can we learn from this. We also have learned a great deal about carrying out research in a global pandemic. It might be easy in some places to do the same research online or on the phone. This has turned out to be extraordinarily challenging in Gilgit-Baltistan because of the weather, because of the infrastructure, because of the absence of a reliable internet or mobile phone network. So basically, we've learned a lot about carrying out research safely in a global pandemic. But one of the things we learned is it is not bloody easy. The early results we've got, one of our MA students did her dissertation on it, and she was looking very much at the economics of success. So where communities have paid successfully. We're looking at that very carefully, because sometimes when the community has been paying very well, it doesn't necessarily mean that the scheme should be considered a success. It definitely means something, but we're still looking at all of these early results. Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the British Academy, who funded the bulk of this project, the Aga Khan Agency for Habitat, who not only have been incredibly cooperative in sharing all of the data that we needed, but they have also contributed in kind to make sure that the project has been a success. And of course, I would also like to thank our partners at Karakoram International University, who have provided the bulk of the project on the engineering side. So at Karakoram International University, we are very lucky to have engineers as our project partners. They have been integral to helping us get access to all of these areas and to helping us understand some of the technical side of delivering clean water. Thank you very much. If you do have any questions, please do email me. Get in touch. We'd love to hear your feedback on any of this. And if anyone has done comparable projects, please do let us know. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. And I hope you have enjoyed not only this presentation, but also all of the others in this Society for Applied Anthropology and Society for Anthropological Sciences spring meeting. Thank you.